Are you wondering if you're going to get another stimulus check and what's going on with creating a new stimulus plan? Well, you're in the right place. What's up, everybody? I am Jaspreet Singh from the MinorityMindset.com and welcome to the Minority Mindset. On March 27th, 2020, the United States government signed the largest stimulus plan in history to combat this pandemic called the CARES Act. The CARES Act sent out $1,200 checks to millions of Americans. It created the $600 a week unemployment program, and it provided financial assistance to lots of businesses. Well, after months of brutal lockdowns and a lot of uncertainty, the United States entered a recession, and now the question is, will you get another stimulus check? I mean, the pandemic has not gone away. Millions of Americans are out of a job. States are rolling back their reopenings, and dozens of huge businesses filed for bankruptcy. Even our childhood favorite, Chuck E. Cheese. The stimulus check debate is one seesaw because the more virus cases there are, the worse the economy will be, and the more likely you are to get another stimulus check. But the United States is doing everything they can to reopen and stay open, which would help the economy recover faster, but it can also help the virus spread faster. And now the government is in heated debates about a new stimulus check. So if you're wondering if you are going to get a new stimulus check and you want an update on the whole stimulus plan progress, you are in the right place. So make sure you watch this video until the end. That way you don't miss any of these key details. But before we get into that, hit that thumbs up button below, because if you don't, then YouTube doesn't share our video with anybody else. Subscribe to the Minority Mindset YouTube channel. That way you don't miss our new financial education videos every single week. And hit that little notification bell too, because if you don't, then YouTube won't let you know when our new videos are released. The battle for a new stimulus check will be a, quote, game of chicken. Republicans and Democrats are going to be making negotiations, trying to see how much the other party is going to be willing to sacrifice or compromise before there's ultimately a deal, hopefully. The questions in debate are, should there be another stimulus plan? If yes, how big should this plan be? And who should get the stimulus, aka free money? If you ask me, I think the government should only give stimulus checks to people who have beards. But I'm not king of the world, so I'll just keep talking about what's actually happening. Both Republicans and Democrats agree that there should be another round of stimulus checks. But before you get too excited, they haven't agreed on anything else, and they need to come to a deal on everything in order for any stimulus checks to be processed. From the looks of things, it looks like a new stimulus plan will be approved. This can change, but at the time of me recording this video, that's what it looks like. However, this new stimulus plan will not be the same as our first stimulus plan. Congress already tried to pass a second stimulus plan back in May called the HEROES Act, but that plan was killed by the Senate faster than Jackie Chan kills his enemies. Wah! The HEROES Act essentially said that more people should get the $1,200 stimulus check than the first plan, and it extended the $600 weekly unemployment benefits until 2021, and it had a few other provisions. The Senate heard that and said, heck no, we can't afford that, and the bill was killed. In order for a bill to go into effect, it needs to be passed by the House, the Senate, and the President. This HEROES Act that I just talked about was passed by the House, but it was killed by the Senate. So you have to imagine that for the next bill to be approved and passed by all parties, it's going to have to make some adjustments. At the time of me recording this video, the Democratic proposed stimulus plan will have a price tag of around $3.5 trillion, and the Republican proposed stimulus plan has a price tag of around $1 trillion. To put it in perspective, the CARES Act, the stimulus plan that was passed back in March, was the biggest stimulus plan in the history of American history, and that had a price tag of around $2 trillion. So this is gonna be a math puzzle with politicians fighting each other over where to make sacrifices. According to President Trump, there are about 10 issues up for debate. The size of the stimulus checks, who gets the stimulus checks, the unemployment program, benefits and aid to states, benefits for businesses, and the payroll tax holiday, just to name a few. Now, when it comes to the stimulus checks themselves, President Donald Trump said that, quote, he wants larger numbers than the Democrats. Now, I don't know what that means exactly. Maybe that means he wants more money per check, or maybe that means he wants more Americans to get checks, Or maybe that means that he just wants to send out physically bigger checks. I don't know. One thing that's definitely going to be in hot debate is this unemployment program, because the unemployment benefits are ending. But I'm going to save this topic for a later video. So if you haven't subscribed to the Minority Mindset YouTube channel yet, make sure you do that. Right now, Republicans have said that they want to only send out stimulus checks to people making under $40,000 a year, while Democrats want to send out stimulus checks to almost everybody in America. That's why there's almost a $2.5 trillion difference between the Democratic plan and the Republican plan. I don't know about you, but with all the things going on in the world, nowadays, $1 trillion doesn't even seem like a lot of money. Amazon's worth way more than $1 trillion. The Fed is like printing $1 trillion a day. And the government is gonna have a multi-trillion-dollar deficit this year alone. It's gotten to the point where if I won $1 trillion magically, I wouldn't even be fazed. I mean, what's $1 trillion gonna get me? Some extra guac? Don't worry, I'd buy all our Minority Mindset fans some guac too. It sounds funny, but that almost numbness to this money printing and the value of our dollars is not a good thing. Our money, our dollars, are not backed by gold or silver or anything tangible. It's backed by a promise that this dollar, this bill, has value. I mean, it costs 12 cents to print this $100 bill. This monetary system that we have allows our government to print as much money as they want to inflate our economy. The risk is that means that the government can also artificially manipulate the value of our dollars through printing more dollars. When the government spends money on something, whether it be stimulus checks or military spending or schools or whatever, that money has to come from somewhere. Well, the government isn't a for-profit entity. It's not like the government sells goods to make a profit. The government gets their money when you, Americans, go to work and you work hard and you make money, because when you make money, you have to pay taxes to the government. At this point, you might think, okay, no big deal. I work hard and it is my duty to help take care of my country, and if I get good services from my taxes, then okay, that's fine. Except the government doesn't make enough tax dollars to cover the regular expenses in a good economy. That's why you keep hearing of the federal deficit and the national debt. This happens because the government spends more money than they make. Now in 2020, the United States has less tax dollars coming in because millions of Americans are out of a job, which means they aren't making any money, which means they aren't paying any taxes to the United States government. And on top of that, the government has more expenses than ever because of all these stimulus plans. Smaller revenue coming in and more expenses going out. That's never a good combination. To cover this loss and fund these stimulus programs, the United States government has to go into deeper debt and more money has to be printed to continue funding the government operations. You can think of it kind of like having a no-limit credit card. At first, it's no big deal. You buy things and you pay most of them off, but then eventually something happens. You lose your job. And now, instead of cutting your spending, you decide to go to the mall and have a shopping spree at Gucci. Your credit card will continue to fund your lifestyle for a while, but eventually, you're gonna have to start making payments, and your payments are gonna add up. The government is already racking up debt faster than ever in 2020 to fight this pandemic and fund these stimulus plans. But what's a bigger concern for me isn't how many stimulus checks are gonna be sent out. It's what's going to happen to the value of our dollars if we just keep printing an unlimited amount of money, because the value of our dollars don't just stay flat. I want you to think back a little bit. Did your grandparents ever tell you something like, oh, back in my day, I bought my first house for $10,000, or I used to be able to buy a loaf of bread for a nickel? If you've ever heard of something like that before, have you ever wondered why we can't do that today? It's because $100 today does not have the same buying power that $100 had back in 1970. Back in 1970, $100 could buy you way more than $100 can in 2020. The value of our dollars depends on supply and demand. When there are a lot of dollars out there, so a high supply of dollars, the value of each dollar that we have comes down. And this lower value of each dollar makes the price of everything else go up. That makes the price of your rent, your groceries, and your medical bills go higher. That is what inflation is. So if more money is printed and there are more dollars floating around, that means the value of each dollar that you have saved and the value of each dollar that you earn should go down, right? In theory, yes. But there can be some exceptions, like we're seeing right now in 2020, because our economy is shrinking. So right now, the Federal Reserve Bank is printing money like crazy to fight off deflation because our economy is getting smaller. This can happen when credit markets are shrinking, and I already made a video explaining how this whole process works, and I'll link this for you in the description below. But you have to think that over the long run, if we keep printing money like this, the value of our dollars are gonna take a hit. That's the risk we take with printing too much money. We could destroy the value of our dollar. The good news is the United States dollar is known as the world's currency, so it would be very difficult to completely just destroy the value of the United States dollar. However, there's a very good chance that we are going to feel the effect of all this money printing through inflation, which means the rising of prices, over the next some years. So while there's a good chance that another stimulus plan will get passed and some Americans will get another stimulus check, I want you to remember that whether or not you get a stimulus check, you are going to have to pay the price of it, because free money isn't actually free, which is why you want to make sure you understand how money works. That way you can use your money in the best way possible. I mean, the fact of the matter is, whether or not there's another stimulus check, you're going to be paying the price for it through higher costs for living. And this is why financial education is so important, so you can use your money the right way. That way you can build your wealth no matter what's happening around you. And if you're looking for an easy way to up your financial education, that's why we wrote a free ebook on money management and investing that you can read for free when you sign up for our financial education emails, which are also free. You can get a free ebook and start reading our financial education emails by clicking the link up here or by clicking the link in the description below. By the way, our financial education emails are separate from our financial news emails. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, share it with one friend. That way we can help spread the word. If you want to learn more about how our credit-based economy works and why the Fed is printing money to try to fight off deflation like I talked about, I already made a video on this, and you can watch this video on YouTube by clicking this button right over here. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.